welcome everyone to another amazing episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm Andrew Becker, your host out of Alexandria, Virginia. Today, met with your partner last week, Matt. Today we have Matt Gevirtz out of New Jersey, runs the GT Luxury Group up there, not too far from me. Actually had the amazing opportunity to meet you and your partner up at an event not too long ago. From there, we've kind of kept in touch, which has been awesome in and of itself. But Matt, welcome to the show, dude.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here. I'm
Yeah, dude.
excited.
So I love just kind of jumping right into this. Out of all the guests, I have to say, out of everything kind of going on in real estate right now with like AI this and AI that, make calls for me, send texts for me, you and your partner are kind of just like, we're going to put in the work, we're going to make the calls, we're going to talk to our people. And you've built an amazing business from that. Congratulations to your kick-ass like work ethic. I think that's very rare these days, especially since everyone doesn't, it seems like a lot of people don't want to talk to people anymore. Walk us through last time I spoke with Nick, it turned into an amazing episode, very inspirational about kind of like mindset. And we didn't really get to dive into your high volume, high transaction business that you two are running. So I'm really glad that I was able to get you here. Talk us through like high level your business model, how you and Nick have your team set up. Let's start there, okay?
Sounds great, Andrew. So I think what really kind of makes us unique is the aspect that like me and my business partner, we kind of divide and conquer. He handles all the lead generation and system building aspect. I handle all the appointments, getting the listing signed. We're strictly listing based business.
Yeah.
We have a buyer's agent that we give all of our buyers to, but in terms of me and Nick's production, strictly listing based. So I go on all the appointments. I take the deal from listing signed all the way to the closing table. And I also work on systems with Nick. So together we just kind of divide and conquer. And when issues arise, it's important to have somebody that you could really have real conversations with.
Yeah.
And in order to have those real conversations, you've got to be aligned in terms of like work ethic, how you kind of like view the world, the energy you bring into the rooms, your ability to communicate. And I think what really separates us apart is just our ability as partners to communicate, bring issues, whether it's personal or business wise, to the table before it becomes a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Talk through them because typically, like the tough conversations is how you make the most growth. I mean, the most important thing also is like we enjoy every single day. We bring a positive attitude into it, and
Yeah.
like we don't take it that seriously. Like we take our jobs very seriously, but like regardless of the result, we don't take the result very seriously. We take the inputs
Yeah.
very seriously.
Dude, how important is that aspect? Because I share in the same kind of partnership setup. I don't know if you know this about me, but when we started our team back in 2013, I literally started it with my best friend that I've known since seventh grade. So like over 20 plus years. And it was like, I don't know, you guys are like super close buddies and that's awesome. But there's just like, it's so different going in from like to the office by yourself and figuring out alone versus having like your really awesome friend that you can like joke around with, have fun with. And I think that's like night and day difference for the people that don't have that. They don't know what they're missing. From my personal standpoint, like I love hearing that you guys are like doing stuff together, having fun together. Because at the end of the day, why do the opposite? Why hate the person you work with, right?
So, Andrew, you know what's crazy? I was a solo agent my first 7 years in business.
Oh wow.
And me and Nick, we
Yeah.
actually have like an 8 or 9 year age difference. And how I met him is I would go to this pizza shop every day in the town that I'm originally from, and he was there making pizzas. His family owns a pizzeria
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his mom, who also works at the pizzeria because she owns it,
Yeah.
would always hear me on the phone talking about real estate at the pizzeria. And she said to Nick, you should talk to this guy. It sounds like he does a lot of business with real estate.
Very cool.
And the very first thing he said to me was like, hey man, you do real estate? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you got any good off market deals? Any good two families? I'm looking for one. And I kept it very real with him. I was like, get in line, buddy. Like you and everybody else is looking for that.
Yeah.
And I think he just appreciated that honesty. He started shadowing me. And, I've only known him for 3 years, and it might seem like I've known him for a lifetime.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why it seems like we're so close and that we're such good friends and that we've known each other for so long is just because like we have that ability to communicate at a deeper level. We have the meaningful conversations,
Yeah.
not just about real estate, but about life, our mindset, our spirituality, our physical and mental health. And that bond has really just like continued to tighten the more we have those conversations.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more that having a great partner is like makes your day so much more fun.
Yeah, definitely. Dude, that's reminiscent. That scenario that you just painted in my mind was reminiscent of The Wolf of Wall Street when Jonah Hill goes up to
Yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio was like, that's a nice car. Show me a paycheck. And he's
dude,
like, I'm going to work
literally,
with you. So,
dude,
yeah, that's
literally.
really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, that also kind of like ties into the culture. I know you and I and Nick have been talking a lot about culture lately, and I know you're bringing on an agent or two, so I'd love to get into that. But like,
Yeah,
I've worked with a lot of people. I'm sure you have too, and anyone listening, like having the wrong person that doesn't fit into your culture, how detrimental can that be to your business model? I mean, it can just suck the energy right out of the air. So the fact that you're aligned with, it sounds like almost every aspect of life, including the business part of it, it's
hmm,
there's no match to that. Even if like a producer came in and was killing it, if I didn't get along with them, I don't know if I'd want to continue that relationship just because I want to be. I say this a lot on this podcast, but like when you call me or when Nick calls me or whatever, I get excited and I want to work with and talk to and communicate with people that fill me with positive energy and not negative energy.
100%, Andrew. You know, I'd rather take somebody who does half the business of another person, but fits our culture.
Yeah,
Someone who works every day to be the best version of themselves, who brings a positive energy and thinks about like the positive aspect of what if. I think a lot of people are so quick to go to what's the worst that can happen instead of what's the best that can happen.
yeah,
And you know, that's kind of just like a social programming. I think a lot of people are so quick to think about the negative over the positive.
yeah,
And we've really kind of rewired our brains to do the opposite. So I completely agree that just having one person who doesn't fit the culture could be detrimental. You know, we want somebody who continues to want to be the best version of themselves and pushes them to be the best version of themselves and brings a positive energy into the room and isn't afraid to have the hard conversations.
yeah. I think that's the
So,
key, dude.
yeah,
Like even you're like leading by positivity and people you want to at the end of the day hang out with, right? And
for
work
sure.
day in, day out. That needs to be put, in my opinion, and how we kind of like over the years from lessons learned, dude. Like we learned that thinking revenue first, like this person, this guy or girl is going to come in and they're going to make me so much money and they're going to make like, I feel like that's the exact opposite of what I wish I had known that when I first started hiring. And, it sounds like you're already there. Like, first and foremost, do I want to spend a lot of time with this person? If the answer is no, even if your gut is saying they could make you money, I'm like, no, I'm just not gonna, like, I don't want that in my life anymore. So that's like our approach. And I know you're kind of going through this. You and Nick are going through this right now. We've had a relationship for the last few months now, since again, when we met up in New Jersey. And you came to me with not a problem, but like something that you're trying to solve. And, your capacity to do the kind of business you do. Can we talk about that? Is that cool if we
Of
dive
course.
in? Okay.
Absolutely.
So kind of just to recap our conversation and bring everyone else in, you were getting to the and correct me where I'm wrong here, but you were getting to the point where Nick was so goddamn good on the phone setting appointments. You were kind of like, dude, chill. Like it's hard to do all this, and you were converting at a high level and kind of hitting like a burnout point. And you said, hey man, I need help. Where should we hire first? And we had a long discussion about this. And we ultimately discovered that maybe it was time for you to hire another agent on the team. So walk us through that. Like correct me where I might have misspoke there, but what was the scenario? How did you and Nick ultimately come to the conclusion, yes, that is the right hire? And then love to talk about the process that you actually executed on to find that perfect person. So start back at
Yeah.
what was going on in your business that even caused you to think about, I need some help here.
So it's exactly what you were saying. Nick is getting so good at the phones just simply by showing up every day and putting in the consistent effort. And we're doing pretty good with our conversion too. I do the same thing. I work on my skills in the living room. I get better and better, and because of that, our conversion continues to rise.
Right.
And it's getting to a point now where we have 3 to 4 to 5 to possibly even 6 appointments in one day.
Yeah.
I'm one person. I can only do so much.
Yep.
So we start to think, how can we free up my time to hit more appointments to generate us more revenue? And it's funny because like I feel like the best lessons you can learn are by making mistakes. And
Hmm.
we made a bunch of mistakes in terms of who we were thinking we need to bring into this business first. Initially, we thought, let's bring in somebody to handle all the client communication. So that way I don't have to take any phone calls. I could just go on appointments all day and pass it on to that person.
Yep.
That turned out not to be the right call.
Can we talk
Not
about
only,
that if you don't mind? Like, can you dive in?
absolutely.
Cool. Didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. Go ahead.
So we brought somebody on, and not only was that costing us a ton of money, and that person can only be as good as you train them to be.
Right.
So that training actually takes away from the appointment time also. Granted, I know it's a short-term investment for a long-term
Right.
return, but when you're in this business, it's such a person-to-person based business. And when I'm in the living room getting a listing signed, they don't expect to hear from another person throughout the rest of the transaction. And we found simply that like the communication that person was having with our clients was good. It just wasn't at the level that like I was hoping for it to be at.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's on us 100% because a person you bring onto the team is only going to be as good as you train them to be. But besides that, the aspect of costing a ton of money out of pocket was becoming a financial burden to our business.
Yep.
So we took a step back. And I think where we really started to get creative after a conversation with you is let's bring on a new listing agent instead. I could still handle all the communication. Let's send a listing agent on the appointments just to get a listing signed and have him pass these transactions on to me, and I'll handle all the communication and
Hmm.
get it to the closing table. So we really got creative. We could have easily sent somebody on the appointments, get the listing signed, and you take it to the closing table. 50-50 split, it's fair.
Hmm.
But where we're getting creative is I can still go on appointments. I could still handle all the client care, send that person on the appointment. They just have to get a listing signed. That is it.
Yep.
They pass it on to me. And we're going to do an 80-20 split. So not only are we like able to convert all these 6 appointments that he's setting in a day and keep them as our own clients, but we're getting creative in the aspect that we're sending somebody to do all the driving and all the like
Yeah.
living room talk. And I can handle this bigger amount of client transaction care.
Yeah, man.
So it's
And
just been like a unique journey.
yeah, one of the super, super important aspects of what you just said is one team member came with overhead in the form of compensation, hourly or salary, however you guys had it set up with that person. But a listing agent, this was like one of the big, I think, key pros to like deciding on which way to go here. But it's a cost of goods sold at that point. If you set obviously if you set it up correctly. If that person doesn't convert, there's no monthly cost that you guys are spending. Your capital allotment isn't going down month over month, and you're hoping and praying that they're gonna, close to make it the next 2 or 3 months from payroll. You're only paying this person if they convert. And in a sales role, it's kind of like put up or shut up, dude. Like if you're going to come onto the team, it's not, hey, can you pay me? And I get it, dude. Like some certain situations are like, yes, we can give you a draw. There's like creative things that you can do there. But if they're good and they're hungry, make it based on them performing. And in real estate and on your guys' team, performing means signing a listing agreement. That's all. Just sign listing
Totally.
agreements, bring it back, and we will take it. And part of the value you bring is, do you want listing appointments on your calendar, right? Like set up that value. How did you have that conversation with this? Actually, let's start here. How did you attract people to even have the conversations to come into your team?
In a business where people are so fearful, realtors, I mean, are so fearful to do two things that are ultimately going to bring them great income: practice their skills regularly and hit the phones to prospect.
Yep.
Those are like the two keys to essentially having a money printing machine in this business. If
Yeah.
you do those two things consistently, you will get appointments, you will get in the door. From there, it's just like refining your skills and your presentation to actually convert.
Yeah.
But I think where a lot of agents struggle is simply just practicing their skills regularly, hitting the phones consistently to get appointments.
Yeah.
So knowing that that's like the biggest thing that most agents fear, why don't we offer them something where we take those fears away? You don't have to do it. You don't have to worry about phone calling. You don't have to worry about practicing your skills on the phone. All you have to do is get good in the living room.
Right.
And it goes back to what I was saying before about bringing on our first role, that your team and your clients will, I'm sorry, your team and your employees will only be as good as you train them to be.
Right.
So we hold a very, very high standard with that. And we've learned from our mistakes, and we're not going to make that mistake again. So with this new listing agent role, we've developed a training program that we're going to put them through, almost like a GT luxury boot camp,
Yeah.
that they have to really prove themselves and get that consistent amount of reps in before we send them out on a listing appointment, especially representing our company. So I think this just goes for any real estate person who's looking to build something, and whether it's a team or just delegation.
Yeah.
If you expect people to do tasks for you, just know that they're a representation of you,
Yeah.
and they're only going to be as good as you train them and as you invest into them.
Right. I think there's a couple items to unpack in what you just said about hiring, and we'll stick on the agent role, right? Number one, that's the value add that you bring. If you're listening and you're like, I don't do that, like there is value that any team can bring. You just have to figure out what the most important way to attract would be. And then you message that out to the world. Number two, and I think this is huge, you, Matt, personally, like probably want help to alleviate the pain of like all these appointments and meeting them and like physically unable to go to all of them because your partner's so freaking good at setting appointments. And there's
It's
this,
a good problem to have.
and I had this too, dude, and I'm wondering if you have it too. Like there's this internal probably like thing telling you, man, this would be great if I could just hire someone tomorrow and then just have them go. Have them go. Like, great. In a perfect world, that would be amazing, right? But you have to be incredibly kind of like tirelessly control the quality of what people are doing on top of, on your business's name. But there's also the level of like, Nick is working his ass off to close this. So are you. You're doing what you needed to do. And you can quickly blow opportunities if you let that person go on appointments before they're ready. So we had talked about this in a lot of detail. Like, what GT luxury bootcamp type of items are you putting into place up front where they almost have to like qualify for appointments at some point? So the idea is like, dude, put in the effort, put in, your work ethic, show us, and then you'll get appointments eventually. Is that how you guys are approaching it? Is that what you decided to do?
We really frame it as like sometimes you have to take two steps back in order to take a big leap forward.
Right.
Think about it like slinging back the bow and arrow in order for the arrow to go far and fast.
Yep.
So, in order for this agent to qualify for appointments, they have to be A, showing up every single day to our role playing session. They have to be practicing their skills every day with us of objection handling.
Right.
They have to shadow me on at least 10 listing appointments. Then I'm going to be shadowing them on at least 5 appointments.
Perfect.
And we learned this mostly from you, Andrew. We really have to we can't just send them out there blindly. We have to prepare them and set a standard.
Yep.
And again, this is going to take our time to invest in these people to develop their skills, but it's the cost of buying back our time. And ultimately, that's our biggest goal in this business, to buy back our time with as much delegation as we can
Yeah.
so that we can do strictly money making activities, activities that are going to grow and scale the business, and things that we enjoy and that we're passionate about.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get stuck in the hamster wheel of forever chasing that next deal. And if you
Hmm.
don't take a step back and think about what it is you want in this business, it's just simply not going to happen.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are fearful to take two steps backwards. You have to have that vision that those steps backwards are actually going to propel you so much further.
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna thank yourself for taking it slow instead of being like jump right into an appointment when they're not ready. Cause then it's just gonna also create this like they're not going to sign, like this is super hypothetical obviously, but like if you decide to kind of jump the gun and not do it through a methodical process like you all are doing, it's going to be like a blame game. Like go on the appointment. Oh, that she's gone on five, hasn't signed any of them. Well, what's happening on the appointment? Is the lead source good? And then it kind of just goes back and forth like that. Ultimately, like it could correct, but sometimes it doesn't. We were that happened to us a lot, dude. Like more times than I even want to tell you about or admit. But if you take it slow and you're like, hey, you can qualify by following our systems and our processes. This is a plug and play. It's kind of like you mentioned the leverage of having to do it, but like accountability plus leverage. Like you want to hold them to your standards, Matt's standards, how you would do it. And that's tough. It takes time. But you realize that. A lot of people don't. They're just like, I don't want to go on appointments like, oh, this is great. And then they wind up blaming that person because they weren't ready. So the fact that you guys have kind of taken like a slow approach to this and really, I know Nick has been telling me you guys have been working on your boot camp training, whatever you guys are calling it, for like quite some time now. So I think that's going to be a huge differentiator, especially, dude. Think about like the person coming onto your team with that level of like sophistication in the onboarding process versus them just joining and it's like, yeah, going on an appointment. They're like, this is a business, right? Like you're going to come off so much more professional to that new team member as well.
I think as a leader, you just have to be accountable for everything. Like if somebody's not converting, don't blame them.
Right.
Blame yourself as the leader for not preparing them enough because I feel like anybody, if they're equipped with the skills, can succeed in this business. It goes a little bit deeper than just strictly communicating. Tonality speaks in paragraphs.
Hmm.
Not only do they have to work on their presentations, they have to work on how they communicate with people on a tonality level,
Yeah.
on an eye contact level, on their hand communication level. There's so much nonverbal communication that is influential in appointments. And it's those extra things that we plan on implementing into our boot camp so that our listing agents are fully prepared to succeed at a high level and convert at a high level. If they are not converting, we as leaders need to take a step back and see what in our training process is lacking to not fully prepare this person.
Hmm.
In what department are we seeing things are not working? And if you could take responsibility for everything, it's very freeing, Andrew, because everything is in my control now.
Yeah.
To leave things outside of my control causes that stress and that fear that is so easily preventable
Yeah.
because I can take accountability for everything and everything can be fixed if I dedicate my time and effort into it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I talk about this a lot in with you guys and just in general, but like having the systems and processes to do what you just said is also paramount. Like that's super important for whoever. It's not even just an agent, like anyone on the team. They come into an engine that's already running, but they know their part, like where they fit in to the whole production. It just makes that accountability so much easier for you as a team leader to audit when things do go awry because stuff will happen, obviously, like stuff goes sideways. And but if everyone's kind of shooting their own direction or driving in their own direction and it's like, well, Matt does this on a listing appointment, but Andrew does these five other things. And it's
Yeah.
very hard to figure out like where something went wrong when everyone's doing it their own way. And I think people appreciate that. Like people who join teams want to come into something where it's like, I don't have to create everything from the ground up. I mean, obviously some people might want to be a part of the building and the collaboration, but just coming into your setup versus like my setup where I don't have anything organized, they're going to know that, hey, if I really put in the effort here, we're going to be successful together. So that's incredibly important. And I love how you guys are putting so much time up front, knowing that you'll be able to buy back your time because of like the effort that you put in putting this out there.
And I think it really is important to lead by example. You can't expect people to do things that you're not willing to do yourself.
Right.
And when people come into an organization where they see the leaders are not afraid to get their hands dirty and do the cold calling, and even me as a 10-year agent continuing to role play every day and show up to practice,
Yeah.
you know, you see professional baseball players or any professional athlete, they're practicing every single day.
Yeah.
And they don't do well in the games because of their performance on game day. They do well because of their level of preparation and all the reps that they've had and their practice.
Yep.
So, why is it an exception for real estate agents? We're supposed to be professionals.
Yeah.
Why are all real estate agents not practicing every day? Because if you're practicing your skills in the living room, that's a very expensive way
Yeah.
to practice.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to come off to the prospect too when you meet with them. They're going to get an uncomfortable feeling that you don't know what you're talking about, or they're not confident enough in you if you don't put in the reps. So I love the fact that you guys practice, and I've seen you on like Breakfast Club type stuff a lot, which is great. But Matt, let's talk about we talked about kind of like the need for the hire and what position, how you ultimately came to that conclusion. Let's talk about how you got the message out there and how you actually found this person, because that is a skill set in and of itself as well. It's one thing to have all these appointments, but if no one knows about it and you can't get the right eyeballs on it, it's tough. And I'd love to hear what you all did, like how you executed on that to get people interested in the position that you were offering.
All we really did was create an undeniable offer. We brainstormed for a little bit. What is real estate agents' biggest fears? What do real estate agents want? And how can we put out a message that will get a high response rate? Like I said before, agents fear working on their skills, finding an avenue to practice their skills,
Right.
and cold calling. So if we could put out there a message of want your appointments filled with consistent listing appointments where you don't have to do the cold calling and you have a set avenue where you could just plug in and practice your skills daily,
Yeah.
we've got that for you. Reach out to us, and we got a lot of people to reach out. We already found our agent
Awesome.
that we're bringing on. We feel really, really optimistic about it.
That's great.
I think in order to find any kind of talent, it's identifying like what do people in that industry struggle with? What can we do to offer people to kind of like alleviate that struggle? And what does every agent want in this business? They want listing appointments.
Yep.
If we fill that calendar for them, man, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to just take 20% on a deal if they just already have that all set up for them.
Yeah.
So
A
we
lot
just
of,
put the message out there.
yeah, I mean, like we don't have to dive super deep into that, but like a lot of the hard work up front to get even an appointment on your calendar is taken care of for them. So
Yeah,
they're not marketing, they're not cold calling, they're not having to do the hard knocks kind of stuff. They're just
totally.
taking advantage of it. And who would say no to that? Especially if like they've been in the business for a couple of years and they're like, "Man, how do I take my company or my business, my personal business from wherever I am to like the moon?" That's an amazing opportunity. Yeah, I knew that was going to be successful for you guys because that's like how we attracted. And the second they meet you two, also, I'm sure they're just like, hell yeah, I want to be a part of this. Like, let's talk about that. So you got a lot of people. Like, let's actually talk about like the finer details. So you put out this message where and said, just to recap, you said, hey, hate cold calling, we'll do it for you. Hate setting and finding appointments, we'll set them for you. All you have to do is go on appointments, follow our training, follow our closing, conversion presentation, and you'll make a lot of money. So that was step one. Where did people reply, reach out? Like, how did you collect their information to know how many people? Let's start there.
We literally just put it on Instagram. I think if you're intentional about anything, we were prepared to go to greater lengths, whatever we had to do to get the message out there. But a simple outreach on Instagram, me and Nick just both put it on our Instagram stories.
That was it. That's all you needed.
Tons of messages. That's all we needed.
So messages in
That
the form of
that just shows you how in demand
yeah.
that kind of service is for us to like set that all up for agents.
So you literally created like a a post and said, "Hey, this is what we have going on. Who wants to be a part of it?" And people just DM'd you. And
Yep.
then okay. And then how did you like how would you mind sharing like how many people wound up DMing you about that? Like collectively between the two of you?
I would say between 5 and 10, which gave us a pretty good pool of people to, pick and choose from.
Cool.
And we had a good, strong interview process with either three or four of them. And we really identified not who's the most skilled right now, but who is the most motivated and hungry? Who's willing to drop the ego
Yeah.
and get training? I think that's a big issue with a lot of agents in this industry, Andrew, that their egos get in the way of their growth. As a 10-year agent, I could have easily said, I'm experienced. I make good money. I've been making six figures since I was 23 years old. I really don't need to like be role playing every day. Like I'm good. Like I make good financial decisions and I make good money. And I think that really inhibits a lot of real estate agents' growth.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to grow in any avenue of life, you got to drop the ego. Be willing to get better. You know, you don't see Tom Brady in his final 3 years in the NFL saying, I'm good. I don't need any help with anything.
Yeah.
No, he had trainers with everything. He's still working on his mechanics, his stretching, his dieting, as if he didn't already know how to do that stuff. Of course he did.
Yeah.
But there's always room for growth. And it's the same in this industry. I don't care if you've been in this business for 1 year or 20 years, you could always get better at sharpening your skills.
Yeah.
And if you're going to let your ego get in the way of that, you're going to be complacent with where you're at.
Yeah. It's game over from that point. So you got 10, call it 10 people that DM'd you. What was your, did you like say, okay, cool, John Smith, you're interested, like, let's hop on a phone call? Like, what was your next step after you got this level of interest for the position?
We jumped on a quick phone call with them, just kind of gave them brief details of it, just kind of see how they like reacted to it, like what their
Yeah.
attitude was like. We can get a good understanding of people's attitudes just by talking to them. You want somebody who's going to be optimistic, positive, excited,
Yeah.
motivated. From there, we took it to Zoom. We had a Zoom call with them, went over the details of what it's going to take, what that looks like, what the splits look like,
Yeah.
why they feel like they're a good fit for the position. And really, like more than anything, we were just trying to identify key characteristics in their actual character,
Yeah.
you know, someone who's well spoken, someone who's willing to put in the additional work, even if they feel like they already know everything, which nobody does. Somebody who's like willing to just say yes, you know, you kind of have like faith when you go into a position that I'm going to make the most of this. And we were really trying to identify the person who brought that energy onto the call that I don't know every last detail about this position, but I know enough where I have faith that if I put in the work and do what these guys say,
Yeah.
I'm going to do well. And that's ultimately what we were looking for on those Zoom calls, the characteristics of somebody that we felt like was coachable,
Yeah.
who's well spoken, and who's going to be able to convert at a high level because we feel like that they're going to put in the work consistently.
Yeah.
And we came down to two final candidates. And who knows, we might still bring on that other candidate.
Yeah.
But there was one who was a clear, distinct, this
Very
is our
cool.
guy that we're going to roll with.
Out of curiosity, dude, did you and Nick have like a preset rules or like, hey, if you like someone but I don't, like it's a no, like did you talk about that kind of stuff? Because it can be a thing where like you absolutely love someone and Nick not so much and vice versa. Just curious if you like had that conversation prior to like talking to these people.
We're pretty aligned on our decision making. Thank God. Like it made the process significantly easier.
Yeah.
But I think if we did truly feel that way, we can have a very honest conversation with each other about I like this aspect about this person. I didn't love this aspect about this person. Where can we come to a compromise where we can like make a decision on one person?
Yeah.
I think in a partnership, communication is absolutely everything. And you have to be willing to have those uncomfortable or tougher conversations in order to come to a common ground that's going to push the business forward. If we could have fundamental differences and still make good progress on things just by simply communicating with each other,
Hmm.
hearing where each other is coming from, and then making a decision and going full speed ahead on it.
Right. Very cool. So you had 10, you put out a post just to kind of go over again. You put out this
Hmm.
post and said organic. I'm assuming like you didn't pay for it. You just put out a post.
Nope, organic.
Yeah. You have people following you. You got 10 people reach out. You had phone conversations with a lot or most of them. From there,
Hmm.
you kind of said, hey, out of the 10 people, these four are Zoom worthy. Like, let's hop on a Zoom and actually see this other guy or girl face to face. And then what happened next? So you agreed that one or I like this person and maybe the second person. What did you do after that? Did you have them come in?
We didn't have them come in person. We just we had conversations amongst each other, me and Nick. We kind of identified each person's strong points, potential weak points, what we can do to build this person into the role that we're truly looking for. And lucky for us, it was a pretty easy decision after those Zooms.
Cool.
Um, and we always know that we have the option to bring on additional people if we choose to. So the decision making process in this case was actually quite easy, which I know that won't always be the case.
Right.
And in the case where it's not, new challenges will arise and different conversations will need to be had. But for a role like this, we were just simply looking for those key characteristics of someone who brings a good positive energy, someone who's hungry, someone who seems coachable,
Yeah.
someone who's well spoken. And it was a pretty easy decision for us at that point.
Yeah, yeah. I think cultural connection with you two and the coachable part, those are like almost the two most important in my opinion. Like if you're not coachable,
Absolutely.
you don't fit into the culture, it's probably not going to work long term. I'm so excited for you guys. Has this person started yet?
They are starting this week
Nice.
with
Okay.
their training process. I'm actually heading to Italy tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to be gone for about 10 days. And then when I get back, they're going to start shadowing me on appointments.
Very cool.
And we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to waste zero time.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Well, Matt, I really appreciate your time this morning. So excited to see like where this goes. And I know it's only gonna, hopefully we're gonna have a conversation soon about like, hey, it's time for a second agent or like who else should we hire? Because I know your guys' vision is to kind of build out and buy back your time. So I'm just really grateful that we were able to meet and so happy to see you guys. Oh, dude, one other thing that I want to tell the listeners is we had that conversation like a week ago ish, and you already
Nice.
executed on it. Like you didn't have to make everything perfect. You just freaking did it, put out a post, and now you have someone. Like how awesome is that? Like massive action takers. That's what I love about you two. It's just like I need this. How do I do it? This is the plan. Okay, and go do it. You did that in like a super short amount of time, which is really impressive.
I tell a lot of my friends that I attend Tony Robbins events and I get Tony Robbins coaching. For those of the people who don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's just kind of like a life business mindset coach.
Yeah.
And one of his main messages is when you make a decision, take massive action. And I think the mind, if you continue to dwell on things, really complicates things. Make a decision, take massive action on it. If something doesn't work out, look at what didn't work out,
Yeah.
make changes, take massive action again.
Yep.
It's that simple. And if you continue to get stuck in the loop of just doing the same thing every day and take it instead of taking that step back and thinking about what decisions do we need to make to push this business forward, let's take massive action on it.
Yep.
It's just simply not going to happen. So we are massive action takers.
I love that.
We appreciate you being there for offering your guidance and support. And I think just surrounding yourself with people who have been where you want to go. And I feel like you can learn something from absolutely anybody.
Yeah.
Just surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, motivated, driven, and ultimately just like want to succeed in life. Having those people around and taking like little nuggets from people and then taking action on those has been absolutely monumental for us.
Yeah, man. I couldn't have said it any better than you just said that. It's like the people that you connect with, no point in reinventing the wheel. Learn from people, be willing to learn from people, and just take massive action. That's the key. You just got to move fast.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't work, pivot and do something different.
Back to the drawing board.
Yep, exactly, dude. So, hey, Matt, just real quick, if anyone's up in your part, neck of the woods up in New Jersey, wants to reach out, connect for whatever reason, how can someone get in touch with you and your partner, Nick?
Just look for us on Instagram. I'm at Matt Gevirtz. Just shoot me a DM anytime. I'd love to like help out, whether it's just like a question about anything, literally. I'm a person just like anybody. And then Nick's Instagram is at Mr. Positive. That's his trademark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mr. Positive Realtor. But just shoot us a message. Like, we're here to help any way we can. I feel like people have invested so much into us and given us so much free game that it would be selfish to gatekeep anything that we're doing.
Yeah,
I think a lot of agents are fearful to tell other agents exactly what they're doing to get business.
yeah,
We don't fear that. We live in like a state of abundance where the more we give to people, we love to see people win. We
yeah.
love to see people put in full effort. So anything we could do to provide value, we're here for it.
Yep. I love that too, dude. And also like the gatekeeper comment you just made. Like that is a big thing, and it's the difference between like a non-massive action taker and an action taker. Like hypothetically, dude, I could have been like, here's what you should do to hire someone, and you could have not done it, right? But I like shared everything I knew. You actually went out and did it, and then you are also in that, like, there's so much business. I'm not going to get every single deal in the DMV, right? You're not going to get every single deal in New Jersey. Share that stuff. That's how you provide real value and build real relationships, I think. Which is what we're doing together, right? Learned some awesome stuff from you guys as well. So let's continue that. Again, super excited to see where you take this from here. Really excited to hear about the new hire once they come on later this week. So let's keep in touch. I know you're going to absolutely kill it, though. I have no doubt.
I appreciate you, Andrew. And these conversations are fun. Together, we just co-create. By co-creating, you could just unlock these new pathways that you've never like seen or known of before.
Yeah, man.
It's so easy to just follow the path that's always taken. When you co-create with somebody, especially somebody who's like-minded, driven, business savvy, you can create these new pathways, and it's just awesome. Anybody who could take any value from this, and I've taken value from it. So it's
Yeah.
just been fantastic.
Amazing, man. Well, thanks again for your time. I'm sure we will be in touch real soon, but thanks for being here, dude.
Appreciate you, Andrew. Good to be here.
Bye.